So finally I went hands-on with Zelda Breath of the Wild using the BOTW mod, and I wanted to share my first impressions, what it's like to play, how it looks, how easy it was to install and how taxing it was on my system. And I'm not sure I made this clear in yesterday's video, but this is the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild, and the Wii U version was in fact the first system I completed Breath of the Wild on. And as I remember, the only real difference between the original Wii U version and the Switch version was the frame rate, but that isn't an issue in the VR version at all, and I personally think this game runs lovely for me on my i9 9900 CPU, which if you look it up is very old, but I personally could happily play this in 4K and use OBS to record my gameplay. Now usually recording with OBS in high-end VR games is when I sometimes get into trouble, but the game was only using 47% of my CPU at the most intensive parts, and obviously the most intensive parts are when you're outdoors. And what was really weird is that Breath of the Wild never went above 3% of my 3080 Ti GPU usage, and that's because Breath of the Wild is purely CPU limited, and you can only emulate one CPU per one Wii U CPU, so basically it doesn't really matter what GPU you have. Now personally I've never used CEMU or emulated any Wii U games before, but following the Flat2VR and GitHub instructions, plus some tips from the Flat2VR Zelda VR channel, I got this game up and running within 45 minutes, but most of that time was spent messing around with my frame rate and other graphical enhancements. As first impressions go, I went in with some high expectations and I came away pleasantly surprised with nearly everything aside from the controls and the climbing. Now I understand getting all the buttons to map to a Quest PSVR 2 or Index controller must have been very difficult, and this mod will take some time to get used to, but you'll find a nice guide to the controls in the GitHub for this mod, and I highly recommend you screenshot it and have it on your phone, ready to look at least for the first 30 minutes. Combat is surprisingly good and there is haptics, but I couldn't ever get the lock-on to work, and nor was I able to actually throw anything. The bow felt excellent, and using head aiming, which does feel slightly off but you soon adapt to it, also felt brilliant after some trial and error. I think the one thing that really stumped me was climbing. I tried everything that I thought would be quite normal, as in looking in the direction I needed to go, but what I found was you need to slightly look off center while looking up, and then you sort of wiggle the left joystick till you find the point upper left or upper right where Link starts to climb the ladder again. The graphics are super lovely, and seeing this world and the people and enemies in it are fantastic, and I can't wait for fans of this game to see it in VR. Using the Magnesis rune for the first time was completely mind-blowing for me, and once the game had registered the object that I wanted to pick up, it felt absolutely brilliant. My recent tweet about the VR mod had many reposts and comments, and a lot of them from outside the VR community, saying they will buy a headset just to check this out, and I personally can't wait to hear their reaction to the scale of everything and physically being Link. Now it's not all sunshine and rainbows though, there's definitely some mod jank, with your arms not moving at the elbows and your shadow not having a head, but these are small gripes, because there's moments like when you pull a weapon from your back for the first time that I think for fans of this game will stay with them forever. As for bugs, I did have some blackouts after the first main cutscene, but once I let the game save I did a quick restart and I was back in Hyrule and the Great Plateau. Now obviously with the mod just releasing, there's tons of people back in the Flat2VR Discord adding their first impressions and sharing any issues they're coming across, and I imagine after the new year the model will be coming back to try and improve many things. But as I said, once you've adapted to the controls and you figured out things like how to use the Sheikah Slate, fast travel, weapon selection and so on, I think many VR mod users will be able to play this in no time. For everyone else, it will take some getting used to, just like many VR mods, but the fact you can simply be in this game is completely mind-blowing. It's very late here in the UK, but I just wanted to share this video to let you know what I thought of it and how good it was to play. I already know I'll be in this game all day tomorrow, and I really look forward to seeing your thoughts on this mod down in the the comments. And obviously, if you get stuck, jump into the Flat to VR Discord for help. There's a link in the description, and there's always someone who has had the same issue as you, or someone who will help you overcome it. And if I don't see you before, have a great new year, and I'll see you all in the next one.